So Nakia, as a model, tell me about messaging and how aware you are of the message that your image is sending out, and what you would want readers to know about the gloss, what's behind the gloss.
Okay. So on this panel alone, we have 3 current or former models. We've all been in the industry. And then we have makeup artists. And we have women here who are setting the standards for Black beauty. However, how many times have you been to a casting where it was like, oh, there's only room for one, and it's against you, a light-skinned girl, a dark-skinned girl, like everyday brown girl, and you're like, but wait, how can there only be room for one when we're so different? All of our beauty is so different and so beautiful, but in mainstream culture, mainstream media, there's still, in the 21st century, only room for one. So when I have been selected as the token Black model in a campaign, I'm like, hold up, wait, what? Oh, so the weight of the Black race is supposed to be on my shoulders? Whew. You know, so I'm aware, I'm conscious, and it can oftentimes make me feel uncomfortable, but at the same time, I'm like, I'm here and I'm gonna represent, and somebody is going to see themselves in this, regardless of complexion, regardless of background, and see the beauty in all of us.
Well stated. Sydney, as the youngest person on the panel, and I have to say, Sydney is a high school senior. She is going on to Bard College in the fall on a full scholarship. I know her mommy's here, so big up to mommy. And so Sydney, clearly you are a girl who's focused on the books. Tell me how much imagery matters to you, and how much beauty matters to you, and how much all of the glossy stuff matters to you.
Well, of course, with the natural hair movement, I love it. I love afros, as you can tell, and I love curly hair. But still, in social media, there's that stigma and this mindset of competitive culture. So someone always has to have the most followers or the most likes. And like you were saying before, that usually comes down to, well, this looser hair texture is prettier, so they're gonna have more followers, or you have light skin, so you're gonna have more followers. And as a golden brown skinned girl, sometimes when I see that, I do get discouraged. On my Instagram, I don't post pictures of myself, really. I just post my art because I want people to focus on my art and not what I look like.
That's an excellent start. You were gonna say something earlier to Nakia's point, I think, about modeling or representation.
Well, you know, I love her. I told her while we were sitting, you know, in the row there. I modeled in the 80s, and I got to be honest, you didn't have the diversity. I'll never forget someone telling me that I wasn't Black enough, that my skin needed to be the color of coffee with cream. And it still to this day hurts. It hurts me deeply that this white man was sitting there flipping through my book at a go-see, and he just looked me in the eye and he said, "You're not Black enough." And that's kind of inspired me to help young girls. I retired from healthcare in May. I started my nonprofit last week. It's called Be a Doll. And I want to empower young girls to know that they can be anything, they can do anything they want to do as long as they apply themselves. I don't ever want to hear a little girl say, "Some man told me I'm not quite Black enough."
Yeah, my feeling is like Zadie Smith, who cares? Who cares? So Talia, tell me how, speaking about empowerment, what you consciously do to empower the next generation of girls, the young girls, the Sydneys of the world, and all these beautiful, beautiful young ladies we have out here.
Just speak positively about what they're able to do. You know, just like you said, just letting them know that you can do anything that you want to do. And I myself try to always show up, you know, positively, you know, in that space with them, where I see young girls, you know, their hair, always complimenting their hair, you know, compliments, and just letting them know that you're beautiful.
Right. Why does beauty matter so much to us? Whoever wants
For
to
the
take that
media,
question.
the media makes it matter, for one thing. The media makes it matter.
But then why do we absorb that messaging and why do we accept that?
Well, I don't see anything wrong with absorbing and wanting to feel beautiful.
Okay.
I think, as women, we definitely want to feel beautiful. We want to look beautiful. We have all these different looks and these different, clothes. And, for me, I'm a girly type of girl. So I do like looking beautiful. But the thing is, I do it for me mostly. I want to feel that way because when I feel it, even when I'm not all dressed up and I just throwing jeans and a t-shirt, if I look in that mirror and I'm okay with myself and I feel good, I think that resonates with everyone in that room.
Did everybody watch Miss Universe pageant? I didn't watch it until I found out Miss South Africa won, and then I was on YouTube trying to see who is she and who did she win against, and then I had a moment of,
The new Miss Universe is South Africa.
I heard, this is why I love watching award shows with company, because I like hearing where other people murmur and where they go, So I heard murmuring here in the audience. What was that about? Just shout it out.
Excitement.
Excited. She looks like my friend with her beautiful short haircut.
Yeah, I love that.
She's one of my girlfriends.
Right?
But what I noticed in that clip, I didn't watch the pageant, but what I did notice in just those few seconds is even the music that they used before deciding who the winner was, there's tension.
Yes.
So there's tension between those two women. There's tension in the audience that's viewing it. And there's
They lingered,
tension
Yeah, they lingered it. Yeah,
So
they did.
it's never ending.
That tension always exists.
It does.
But the thing that got me, I just see how Miss Puerto Rico, the long blonde hair. I don't know many Puerto Ricans with naturally long blonde hair, but she obviously got the message that longer, blonder, and whiter is better. And there was a self-assuredness to her and a humility to Miss South Africa that reminded me of the pageant. I think it was 1984 when Vanessa Williams became the first Miss Black America. And so I thought,
Miss America.
Miss America, thank you. 30 years have passed, and yet we still have that sense that everybody knows who's supposed to win, and when the black girl wins, it's a shocker and it's a surprise. Am I alone in feeling that way?
No,
Okay,
that's true.
so,
That's
yeah.
real true. I attended a college in Savannah before I went on to an HB, historically black college. I attended a predominantly white college, and I had a girlfriend who was darker than me, very, very dark, and we needed more money for her to continue school. I had money. My parents would put me through school, but she was at a point she had no more money. I said, but if you run for a pageant, you get money automatically at the school and you can pay for your whole year. Good idea, good idea. So we ran around town, bought the cheapest dress we could find, putting beads all over it so she can look like the rest, beaded up the shoes. We had no money. Everybody else had all $5,000, $6,000 gowns and expensive shoes. We had no money. She was black as night. She has long, straight hair, though, which was hers. We braided her hair, bone straightened it out. She would not wear makeup, and I was the makeup artist. So you wearing something? I said, you put on some fake eyelashes and some red lips because you're gonna be seen from the back. She was jet black. She wore a bold white swimsuit. When I tell you, I'm sitting in the audience with her boyfriend at the time at the back. The audience was pure white. It was just me and her boyfriend at the back watching this whole show. And they got down third runner-up, second runner-up. We sat there and said, oh, she didn't even get honorary nothing. I promise you, they called that woman's name out as the winner. We jumped up screaming. We were the only two screaming, and the audience was quiet. I said, we won. Nobody said anything. The entire audience was like, oh. I was like, oh, we in trouble. All I could think was she's got money to go to school, it's a wrap. But then we kept winning because she needed more money. She started running for different positions. But the idea and the audacity that we thought we were good enough. Because she went and bought, at the time we were like tiny people, like size 4 and 2 girls. We bought a 14 size Olini Cosini dress that was beads, had fallen off on the ground at a Belk store. We ran around the store and picked up all the beads and sewed them back on that dress. I sewed that dress, because I could sew, to it fit her body to a size 4. And it was perfectly etched out her shape. And we had no money. The rest of the beads we just put on the shoe and made some fake earrings. You can do and be what you want to be when it's time to do that. And you can think better than the next man, because don't ever believe that you're not good enough. Because when I tell you my brown skin, and she's black.
Yeah.
And everybody around her in that moment was white. She sang, I forgot what song she sang, but she could sing. And I was like, okay, maybe she'll get to singing. She didn't get nothing. No category. But when it was time to win, hands down, they called her name. I was screaming. I was like, nobody's screaming but me. Okay.
That's okay.
All right, so what do we make of where we are today? On the one hand, Nikki is going on castings and realizes there's only going to be one token black girl chosen. But then we have a Miss Universe, a Miss America, a Miss, what are the other categories? Girly girl, Miss You. I think there's five beauty contests
Miss
where
USA.
all of the Miss USA, they're all African American women. So two-part question. Does it matter, which is what Chimamanda was saying, or why are we even talking about beauty pageants?
It does matter.
It does
because
matter.
the media makes it matter. And,
Well, again,
it's just there in your face all the time. And so you want to see yourself in a positive way. So if you see yourself with a crown, I mean, not, because someone else is validating it, but, we are human beings and we do need that encouragement, every now and then. So you may be thinking that I am the best. I am. My mother told me I'm beautiful. But then you look in these magazines and no one looks like you, and they're looking fabulous. So if you see yourself, I think it's a good thing.
okay.
I mean, I was in the Miss Georgia USA pageant in 1982. There were 300 applicants. They whittle you down to 100, and I was the fair-skinned black. And the young lady who was chosen as one of the top 10 was a chocolate sister.
Well, that happens.
It didn't mean I
vice
wasn't
versa.
that
Happens. Either way. And a lot of times now, you know what? That's funny that you said that, because I remember, being young in the subway in New York. I'm the New Yorkers in here.
New York.
But I remember it was an advertisement by Virginia Slims. And that was the first black model, brown one, that looked like me.
Right.
And that just made me feel so good, But I always saw fair-skinned women in the magazine, which is no problem, because I understand, how, just the dynamics of it all, political thing, it's political. But it's so funny. I remember years later, it's like it was in cycles. I had gone to Essence magazine. I think they had published one of my hairstyles or something. And I walked in and they thought I was a model, because it was the dark-skinned girls' time then. You remember that. You know, because y'all are models. So y'all know it was a time when it was the light skin, and then all of a sudden it was all about the brown girls, So it's just unfortunate that they get to choose and tell us when it's our turn.
That is
So
such
that
an
tells
excellent
me that we
That's
need
true.
to just support each other and make our own turns.
Let me interject.
I know
You're
it's
right.
difficult.
You're
but-
right. But did you see the commentary between Tyra Banks and Naomi Campbell?
Oh yeah, that was.
And Naomi
and that's
Campbell
what she
did not
said.
welcome in Tyra Banks. It's
Right. There's
our
only
responsibility too,
Right.
because even
Well, I'm totally out of social media, so you have to fill me in.
that was a conversation on her show.
Yeah, that was a television
Yeah.
show. That was
Yeah.
years ago on
Oh, okay.
television, where the two models, Tyra Banks and Naomi Campbell, and there was supposed to be a thing between them because there can only be one black girl, and they were at each other's throats because it was only one black girl that can shine in that world. And so I think one of the talk show hosts got them together and they just talked about it.
I think
all the
Tyra-
hurt and
Tyra
had her
was
show.
on
She
Tyra's
finally
show.
got them together.
So,
Yeah, they had
well,
the
this is the same
conversation.
thing that you ladies
Okay,
were
so
saying.
before we're flipping through Essence magazine or Vogue magazine, we're very, very young. We start to develop an awareness. So I'm curious, I'm going to take it all the way down the row. Where did you get your first idea of what beauty is or was? And then how has it evolved since then? So I'm going to start with you.
I don't think that my idea of beauty has evolved. I think that it's been pretty much set in stone when I look at my family, the beautiful hues of my family, I'm like, I'm loving everybody. I look very much like my mother. I look very much like my aunts on my dad's side. However, I have aunts that are this beautiful, like red, dark-skinned women, and I'm like, they're just beautiful. And then it's just a range. So when I think of beauty, I was like, this range is what beauty is. I was never like, oh, it has to be one thing. It wasn't until I went to a public school and was around like other races of kids that I was like, oh wait, y'all are looking at me like I'm the oddball? Oh wait, something's wrong here, because otherwise it didn't even occur to me that there was a Eurocentric standard of beauty until I went to school.
And were you going to school among mixed races of children, or was it?
I mean, I grew up in the South. I grew up in South Carolina. So I mean, it's, you know what I mean? You know
No,
exactly
I'm
what
from New York,
this
so I don't know what
is.
that means. So you have to break that down. Yeah, what does that mean?
Okay.
Yeah.
Quick little history about Jim Crow South. It still exists. This is why so
Yes,
many
it
of us
does.
moved
It
to
does.
Atlanta, so that we can be around blackness and blackness that is thriving, and see like how beautiful we are in our different shades and all these, everything. It's beautiful. However, growing up in the South, knowing that at one point in time, enslaved people outnumbered white people in South Carolina and in Georgia and in North Carolina and everywhere, right? However, flash forward to when I was in school in the 1980s, I think it was like 25% black in the schools that I was in. And keep in mind also, Brown versus Board of Education was what, 1954, 1955, 1954. South Carolina schools were not forced to integrate fully until 1971.
That's 10 years before.
People don't realize that.
So, when I'm in school, you still have people who are looking at you like, oh, you're trouble. Oh, you don't deserve to be here. They're looking at you square. So many of my favorite teachers actually came from New York because they didn't have that racist mindset.
You're saying that they were your favorites because they didn't have the racist mindset?
They were encouraging. Whereas everyone else was like, keep your head down, do what you need to do, don't speak up for yourself, don't stand out. There's this post-traumatic slave syndrome is like, it is so real. Post-traumatic slave syndrome teaches us that like, oh wait, no matter how beautiful and spectacular you are, you do not need to stand out, you need to blend in, you need to keep your head down for fear that someone is going to rape you, someone's going to take you, somebody's going to exploit you. So you have tons of black parents who don't encourage their children, who don't love on their daughters, who don't tell them that they're beautiful out of fear. So that's what growing up in the South was like. It was that fear.
Really interesting.
Wow. All right.
Well, that's amazing because I was born in Italy, raised in Germany, came to the United States when I was a teenager. So coming from Germany to Georgia was an extreme shock. Extreme. And to think both my parents were born and raised in Canton, Mississippi. So, okay, but that sort of means it was never talked about in my home. So I was raised with people who looked like you, them, others. Everyone was a multi-cup. And we were also military, so we were all in one pot, so that you were protected. So when you come to America and you're called stuff you didn't know, and I didn't know what prejudice was until I moved here. Shocked.
How old were you when you moved to the States?
About 13, I was a teenager.
So when you, if I were to ask you as a 7-year-old, what is beautiful to you, would you have had an answer for that, or was?
It would be, as a child, to me, beauty was, because I'm an artist, first of all, you guys, I love art. So my background just isn't makeup, I love art. I'm a graphic artist, I teach airbrush makeup, I do body painting, I do special effects, I teach color theory. So art to me was anything God made. Trees are beautiful. If your skin was yellow, I loved your yellow skin. If you were handicapped, I loved the fact that you were handicapped. I was trying to figure you out. If you walk with a limp, if you were missing a leg or an arm, there was something artistic about you I was appreciative of. So when I came to America, I was warned when I got here that you're black. And I was like, what does that mean? Because I went from a all military school the bulk of my life, where everybody was in the United States Army, their kids were in the same school. To coming to America in Georgia, going to an all black school, it was shocking because they didn't, the African American children didn't have. I didn't know what government cheese was. I didn't know what it was like to have a father not in the home. My parents were married. I didn't know what it was to have a man living in your house who wasn't your husband. Didn't know any of that. Didn't understand it. Couldn't get it. We went from there to South Carolina to an all-white school, predominantly white school, and everybody had money and cars. And I was like, okay, I'm in with them. What's going on? And I still didn't fit in. I was like, okay, what's going on? So then we, from there, went off to college. Blah, 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 but it was still culture shock after culture shock. And I came home every day with questions. Mom, there's a girl at school with a bump in her stomach. I think she has a tumor. No, child, sit down. There's something going on. Let me tell you about that. You know, this thing.
So with all of the culture shocks, did you find that it was, I'll say, contaminating your idea of what beauty was because it was so pure as a child? And now as you're coming to all these different messages, did it?
I don't think it contaminated because I was still a very artsy child.
Okay.
I believed in beauty was, it could be the hair on your head, it could be something you say, it could be the jeans, it could be your shoes, it could be your look, it could be your eyes, it could be your skin. I saw beauty in everything.
Okay.
So it was very difficult to come to a country and everybody was like, well, you can't do that because you're black. I'm like, what does that mean? And I remember one day I was looking in the mirror in the bathroom, I was just staring at myself. And my mother walked by, she said, what are you doing? I was like, I'm staring at myself. She said, what are you doing? I said, am I black? She says, if you don't get out that mirror. I said, but some of the kids at the school say I don't look like them. I said, what is them and what does that mean? We had conversations all the time.
Okay.
So beauty to me is, my mother was beautiful.
Yeah.
My father is beautiful. My nephew, my niece, my friends are beautiful. So I see it differently, and it's very hard, because I teach a lot of makeup artists. So
I know that's a whole nother conversation, but I want to get to Sydney.
Yeah.
First idea of beauty when it dawned on you, and if it has, you're so young, has it evolved since the last 7 years?
I don't believe that I started to see what beauty was until I had to answer the question, do I want to perm my hair or not? So I'm the oldest of, 5 now, and my mom has 2 beautiful younger siblings, sisters of mine. I have one sister over there. And so I thought, and so I thought if I permed my hair, for one, that would be easy on her, because she doesn't have to do everyone's hair. And
Easy on your mom.
Yeah. So she doesn't have to do all of our hair. And for 2, during that time when I made that decision, I lived in Tennessee. And I went to a school that was surrounded with predominantly Caucasians and Latinos, all these people who had straighter hair than I did. So I was like, oh yeah, so I want to look like them, so I can do their styles. I can be like, one of the cool kids. I even, and I remember this so clearly, I used to tell people that I was half Puerto Rican. So they thought I was eccentric or special, something cool about me. And I used to say that I was dark yellow, not brown.
Dark yellow?
Yeah.
Okay.
I know it's kind of weird, but not brown to try to fit in.
Yeah, I really appreciate your honesty, Cynthia. This is resonating with me. Yes. Yeah.
But then when I moved to Atlanta, of course, nothing but beautiful black people here, and I made the transition to going natural. And before, I didn't want to be friends with black people because I thought that they weren't beautiful. Because growing up, that's all that I saw.
That's right.
That we weren't beautiful. And I didn't think that I was beautiful.
What turned it around for you? I mean, you were like a little star, which I know you know now, but what made you say, that's all crap what I used to believe? Does anybody have a tissue for Sydney?
Definitely being here. And I went to Utopian Academy for the Arts, which the founder, he went to Morehouse. And so there we learned a lot about Black history and how awesome Black people were. And I didn't know that because
Thank you.
I came from a school where, as an actress, I got the lead role in one of the musicals, and the white kids will say she doesn't deserve the role because she was Black.
That's not true.
And this is in the 2000s, and I'm like, we still doing this,
Wow.
But then coming here, I was able to see, oh, well, I can be on stage as somebody important. So having my community to support my back, definitely.
We got your back.
Yeah.
Well, we're lucky to have you. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, who wants to follow that?
Let me take a cleansing breath. There's so much dialogue right here that I can relate to. Growing up in Queens, New York, I was a tomboy. I was the only girl on the block, so I was, okay. Anyway, I moved here in 78 to attend Spelman, and it was pure culture shock. I grew up in New York next to a synagogue. And I'll never forget, I was downtown and a young man stopped and asked me, "What race are you?"
Downtown in New York or
No,
in Atlanta?
downtown in Atlanta.
Okay.
And I used to work at Macy's on Peachtree, the big Macy's, and go to school. And I looked at my sneakers and I looked at the man and I thought, he didn't say, "What race do you run?" He said, "What race are you?" Mind you, my mind is going. And I looked up at dude. I was like, "What race is pure?" And I crossed the street. And I mean, I was, what? So confused with where did this come from? It should be about being human. It doesn't matter if you're white, black, polka dot. That's not important.
We'll continue this conversation on the next Keynotes. True Colors Theater presents Schoolgirls, or the African Mean Girls play, written by Jocelyn Bio. It's a play that tackles this exact topic, Black beauty. If you'd like to purchase tickets to the play, go to truecolorstheater.org.